If you watched my video a few days ago about the election, and if you haven't, you should watch that right now, you'll know how an American election works and what's in store this year. Since then, a lot of crazy stuff has happened, and while we have an official winner as of the writing of this script, that was only announced just this morning, or 4 days after the election, a process which normally takes one night. In that period, crazy stuff has happened, from surprises in Congress to ridiculous legal challenges that really haven't gotten anywhere. Now, before we get into the crazy stuff, I'd appreciate if you would like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for future content. Okay, so I'll be going in chronological order, starting on election night and ending today. Immediately, we had multiple surprises. First of all, Florida and North Carolina quickly voted for Trump, even though most forecasters predicted a Biden win, and we saw a Republican come back into both the House and the Senate. Again, something nobody really predicted. Still, Biden had a good shot at victory. It would all come down to a region called the Rust Belt. You see, in 2016, there were similar Republican upsets in the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, all states that had reliably voted Democratic in previous elections. However, all of these wins were super narrow, and the Democrats were confident that the states would flip back this year. In addition to the Rust Belt, there were several other swing states yet to be called on Wednesday morning: Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and weirdly, Alaska. Now, there is a phenomenon during an election called the Red Mirage, or the blue shift, where in-person votes that lean Republican initially dominate the counted votes, only for blue-leaning mail-in votes to even things out down the road. And it is this phenomenon that led Trump to prematurely declare victory and try to stop vote counting, as such an action would cement his re-election. However, the Red Mirage was short-lived. Mail-in votes started to get counted shortly thereafter, and Republican leads began to diminish in the swing states. In 2 days, a 10-point lead for Trump in Pennsylvania dwindled to a 1-point lead, while less robust leads in Wisconsin and Michigan disappeared entirely, and those states were called for Biden. Georgia was even more intense, as counts showed Trump with a shrinking lead, but votes were almost done being counted. Ultimately, Biden managed to erase that lead as well, and currently leads by 4,000 votes there, well within recount territory. What does a recount mean? It's self-explanatory. It's a recount of the votes. Finally, we have Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. Nevada has been notoriously slow counting its votes, which I somewhat jokingly blame on their reliance of gambling to get through today. Las Vegas, anyone? And Arizona has a Biden lead that is slowly shrinking, and it's unclear whether or not Trump will regain the state. For the record, Nevada has a Biden lead as well, and that's slowly getting bigger. With these calls in mind, Biden had 253 electoral votes to Trump's 213, meaning the election came down to Pennsylvania. Fortunately, Trump's lead disappeared there as well, and since then, Biden's lead has been increasing. This morning, that lead expanded so much it reached a point where it was impossible to remove it, and thus Pennsylvania's 20 electoral votes were called for Biden. This put Biden over the 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency. In other words, Biden has officially won the election. Now, there is still a pretty bumpy road ahead. Trump is putting up a huge legal fight, and even if that fails, the Republicans will likely keep the Senate, putting a lid on what Biden will be able to do as president. It all boils down to 2 Senate races in Georgia, both of which won't be decided until early January because neither of the candidates got a majority vote, so it goes to a runoff. Regardless, the toughest part of the election is over, and we can, for the most part, breathe easy. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this update video, and if you did, I'd appreciate if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for future content. Thanks, and have a great day.